The only other thing I'd say before moving on is what happened today once again reinforces the idea that we should be watchful, but also that we should be tolerant. Because tolerance is the one weapon that divergence and hate have no answer to. So be good to each other, and we'll try to do good. Try and do my kids. I mean, this is a beautiful place, and I guess most people are undercover. Those of you who want it, shit, I am. So it's all good. But when I come in and you all stand up and applaud, I mean, it's the most amazing thing, but it's also weird. There's a kind of attraction, repulsion thing going on there. When I was in Charleston, in South Carolina, a few years ago for a book festival that they had there, it was a reception. And this woman came up to me, and it's happened to me a lot since then, and she said, "You scared the shit out of me." She said, "Can I have a hug?" At some point, I became America's Great Pumpkin. And the only thing that I can figure is that Boris Karloff died, and then Rod Serling died, and then Alfred Hitchcock died. They said, "You're it." So here I am, and I am, I guess, America's boogeyman. Oh, the other thing that I started to hear, and this was on a tour for a book I wrote, a sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep. This is great. I feel like Leonard Skinner. Play Freebird. Yeah. It's Steve King's greatest hits. No, I was on this tour and I was in Austin, and I started to hear this thing like people would come up. I was sitting at a table signing books, and after that thing, I found out that wasn't going to work. It's an awful lot of people. I like this way better, like it's sort of a ordering. But the nice thing about this is you're all going to get a book and nobody's going to die, you know, like there isn't a poison book in there somewhere. You know, that would be a good story. It's not too bad. It's mine, okay? It came from me. So that's when I started to hear people would come up and say, "Oh man, you're on my bucket list." I go, "Oh really?" That's a weird concept. Bucket list. I mean, like, I can see people with 12 things, you know, on a sheet of paper. You know, visit the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Go to the Louvre. See Stephen King. The only thing on my bucket list is not kicking it. I have been, I'm going a couple of places that I've never been before on this tour. Reminds me of an old Henny Youngman joke. My wife said, "Take me someplace I've never been before," and I said, "Try the kitchen." I'm sorry, just the whole thing is just stream of consciousness. What was I talking about? Oh, I know, Kentucky. Yes. I've never been to Louisville, but I want to condole with you about Muhammad Ali. I have. The thing is, the second time that Ali fought the Bad Bear, Sonny Liston, the fight was supposed to be in Massachusetts, and there was something that went on with boxing, and I'm sure I don't know what it is because boxing is the cleanest sport in America by far. But something happened, and they revoked the license of the fight. And so the governor of Maine at that time, John Reed, said, "Come on up here to Lewiston," which is in town like 25 miles from where I live. So we got a broadcast locally on radio, and of course we were all rooting for Almeida to win the fight. And we all thought that he would get flattened by the bad bear, Sonny Liston. And when he won, it was just, man, me and my friends were just jumping all over the place and saying, look at that, he won. And he's still pretty. Yeah. I was never been to Louisville, I don't think, but I've been to Lexington twice. I guess a few years from there. There was a motorcycle tour. I went across the United States on a motorcycle, and I stopped at Lexington. That was for a book called Insomnia. And then, a year or so later, I somehow found myself in this rock and roll band called the Rock Bottom Invaders. And we were supposed to play one gig because none of us could really play that. Well, that isn't really true. There were some of the guys there, I'll mention no names, so I thought played a little bit better than they wrote. And there were guys in the band that would play before. Dave Merrin was the leader of the band. Played him, yeah, Dave's great. He played with a group called the Federal Duck, which sounds like a Dave Berry band to me. In any case, a lady named Kathy Goldmark got us together and said, she was an author rep in San Francisco, and she said she'd taken all these writers around, all the writers would sing all on radio, and they would remember when they played in groups and they were teenagers or when they were in college, and she thought, wouldn't it be funny to get a bunch of writers together and have them play one gig and one gig only. And for some reason, the thing went on and on and on because we all sort of fell in love with the idea that we could play this shit in rock and roll. The first gig that we played a Wilson Pickett song called 6475389, and it opens with a real fast progression from G to C to G to C. And I was keeping up the best that I could, and Dave Berry took me aside and said, Steve, it would be easier to play this song if you played it with bar chords. And I said, what's a bar? So he showed me, and so I learned a little something with that. But I learned something else about that. You know, writers and critics had those adversarial relationship. In particular, I think that when I was beginning to write, I had first 3 or 4 books come out, and I got generally savaged by the critical establishment at that time. And I was, of course, hurt, as any writer is, but I took comfort in the fact that I was very young and they would all die. Which eventually happened.
What is it to take a picture and say
Which eventually happened since then. I've won some awards and I've gotten a lot more good reviews, and the only thing where I can think is that I scared the crap out of a lot of these guys when they were teenagers.
Probably settle about it.
Fears. And I'm glad for the good reviews, but we do have this adversarial relationship, and what we did, the remainders, you know, I played the guitar, Dave played the lead, Nick and Pearson played bass. Oh, and we had a girl group, and the leader of the girl group was Amy Tan. And Amy wanted to do this song, this old Nancy Sinatra tune called These Boots Are Made for the All. And so her idea was to do it in complete dominatrix gear. So we rehearsed at a hotel in Los Angeles, and Amy came in wearing this short, tight leather skirt and, you know, a kind of a tight top, and she had a riding crop and one thing. And the concierge kicked her out and thought she was a hooker. And it's one of the proudest moments of Amy's life, and she still does that too with the band. And the way the gig works is that the guitarists would all line up, turn around, and present their posterior regions, and Amy would come along with her crop. And we all claimed we didn't like it, but we were really enjoying it. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with the critics' corners. The thing that I learned, a lot of these guys were some of the top blog critics. We have a rotating membership. Some of them were the best blog critics of their generation at the time. And they wrote very trenchantly for magazines like Cream and Open Stone. And I discovered an interesting thing. None of them had seen, but we said, I cut away. They were totally helpless when it came to doing what they'd been writing about. Then we had one critic, really sort of a nice guy named Joel Selden, who wrote for the San Francisco Chronicle. This was, some of you may not remember this, but we had these things called newspapers back in the 90s, and they actually had people that they paid to do these stories. It's hilarious, but believe me, it really was, you know, part of your American history. So, Joel was particularly in love with a song by the Troggs called Wild Day. And in the middle of that song, there's a kind of weird two-piece solo. It's either an ocarina or a sweet potato or something like that. And Joel was always like, who's gonna do the solo? And I said, why not you, Joel? And he said, because I can't play an instrument, and I gave him a kazoo. Because anybody can play a kazoo, or so I thought. The thing was, when it came actually time, and we were in about performing in front of 700 or 800 people, Joel got so excited that he blew that son of a bitch so hard, nothing came out. And it was interesting because he's a bald guy, and you could see the cover rise up in his face, up to his head. It was like a cartoon character bring up, you know, that father like Orn gets mad or something. And
talks, right?
Oh, this shit, it's gonna talk about that shit. You know, you're supposed to make this connection with your audience, so sometimes it's a bit of a strain. But we did play Classic Bloggers tour that went down this coast. We played some places in New England. And then we got down into the Mid-South, and the landscape kind of changed. We were at Aretha Franklin's bus. It was really nice, and what a kitchen. I was late, and none of us can cook, which is fine. So we got to Lexington, and we were bumped into this roadhouse thing, this kind of honky tonk outside of town. And we went in, and I looked at the bandstand, and it was surrounded by chicken blood. And I flashed up this Patrick Swayze roadhouse. And I thought, whoa, I don't know about that. And we were getting ready for sound check, and we were putting up the instruments and testing the mics and everything. So I excused myself to go in the restroom, and one of the security guards followed me down. This is a guy, approximately 450 pounds, you know, the tighten his shirt and says, and I went in there, and I was peeing, and he came up to me and he said, is this band a joke? And I thought about that, and I said, well, it's in kind of a rare. And he said, if it's a joke, it better be a good at it. It's like people down here like their music. So I understood what the chicken wire was doing. We played the rest song. So anyway, I just made a connection with you. That's my license.
She's still on the burn couches, so.
I did my best. And last night I was at the Lyman in Nashville, which was a great experience. And I was telling them that I was in the Hank Williams dressing room, God sake.
Right?
You know, the thing is, like, as a kid, my friends and I, these were all the kids that I wrote about in Stand By Me, Teddy and Morty and all those guys. We all thought country music was shit-kicking music. Yeah, like Ryan Roll, we were cosmopolitan, which was really funny. Because I grew up in Western Maine, 600 people there. It was one Taro, and I went to a one-room school in Water, and a boys' outhouse and a girls' outhouse, and by Thursday, those things were pretty high. Yeah, I can't eat the honeymoon. So I was thinking about that. I was talking with the Ryman, and I thought to myself, my God, all this stuff that North Carolina about where are the transgender people going to go to the bathroom? Are they going to go to the girls' room or are they going to go to the boys' room? And I'm thinking to myself, listen to you silly politicians. If you can flush after you take a dump, call it good and let it go. And then I was going to say, oh shit, that didn't want to Anyway, the guy that you came to see tonight isn't here, and probably know that there used to be a movie called The Three Faces of Eve, and what you get with me are the Three Faces of Steve. The one that you came to see, Mr. Matt, I'm going to put this in. God, that goes. Well, that's okay, because a teacher told me when I was in college that the one requirement for English majors, in particular readers in general, was a dirty mind. Seldom. So that's good. By the way, while we're on that subject, there are a lot of things you could be doing tonight. You could be listening to music, you could be watching TV, you could be in a movie. We're all here because we like books, so why don't you give yourselves a hand? Yeah. Anyway, it's fabulous. The Three Faces of Steve. The normal Steve is the Steve that, I'm around the house, and I'm just a guy, and when my wife says take out the garbage, I take out the garbage. When she says, I need you to go to the store, I go to the store. And when she says your dog shit on the rug again, clean it up, I clean it up. Because that's what normal guys need. And then there is with Steve that's here tonight, and this is the one that's sort of like public Steve, and his main job is to deflect you away from Scary Steve. Because Scary Steve is always a no-show at these things. He doesn't travel, he stays in his little writer's workshop, and he comes out on a workshop. And my mingle, shave, and happiness, I let it show out. He's gonna show up. I'll show it to you. I will tell them you send it. Love it. I hear that after I think about all the horror movie tropes that I've had over the years, and the new one in the 21st century is this. Hey guys, we don't have any celery section. My phone doesn't work, and right then you're in a horror movie. So I can't come out here and scare you, right? There's no way that I can do that because we're all together and we're having a terrific time, sort of, at least I am. And you're stuck with me. But I can show you how it works, at least how it works for me. And the two big things are verisimilitude, which means trying to give readers a sense that they're in the actual world, to give the story some texture. And the other thing is characters. I think that readers have got to have characters that they care about, characters that they feel for one way or the other. And I think even the bad guys, like Big Jim Redding and The Dome, should have something to recommend them so that you can feel that kind of connection. I sometimes talk about two horror movies. So one is the Friday the 13th series. Do you know that?
Oh, yeah.
Jason Horror. My kids, of course, I took my kids to all those Friday the 13th movies because I am one sick bastard. My daughter would say, I don't think that I want to go see that ending. I'm not kill Archer. Stop at a rest area, Jonathan. And go.
Parenting at its
I'm quite sure.
That's Jack and
And
Jack
whether or
the
not-
Killer that was like,
But the Friday the 13th movies are basically, you know, a dozen good-looking teenagers in various stages of undress get killed. It came to the point where my children were calling it Camp Arrow to the Eye. So you get that, and you get that a guy who is strung up like a chain or whatever, and of course finally this the last girl who somehow succeeds in killing Jason until the next movie. And I always thought that I would really like to write an existential, because Jason's problem is existential. He dies, he comes back, he kills, he dies and comes back, he kills. It's like Sisyphus rolling his rock up the hill. And I thought to myself, I would love to write a book called I Am Jason and get his side of the story. But the thing is, we all went to those movies, that series of movies, to watch people die. And the difference, the polar opposite is the wonderful John Carpenter movie, the first one, Friday the 13th. Shit. Halloween.
Those are also good.
It's been a long tour, yeah. Halloween, you're rooting for Jamie Lee Curtis to live. And to me, that makes it a successful horror story. So, when it comes to character, I would say you need to think about yourself and whatever significant other you came with, because those are real characters to you. You're real to yourself, and your partner, your loved one, is real to you too. So you have to think about that. And for verisimilitude, I used to tell people about the American Insurance Institute and the AIR. It's total bullshit. But it sounds real.
Concentrate.
Which is the important thing. So I would say, according to the American Insurance Institute, in a group of people like 1,200, 1,600 people, 8 of you have left your cars unlocked. On a rainy night when any self-respecting maniac might be seeking shelter.
It's not in this group.
It's not likely that a maniac with a knife has crept into the back of your car, and you know that. That's why you're laughing. But you're also laughing because we're all here together. The lights are on and everything, and so it's going to be different later on. I guarantee you it's going to be different later on. And then I would say, according to the American Insurance Institute, in any crowd of 1,800, 2,000 people, 4 of you has left your house unlocked. And
now sounds bad.
a maniac who found your house unlocked wouldn't even need his own sharp knife. So he could take one of yours. Right? Go into the kitchen, you know that butcher block you've got in there with the knives in it. Take the longest one, and then go upstairs, because that's what they always do. They go upstairs, and then they go into the bathroom, and from the bathroom they go into the tub,
There's a white that
and they pull the shower curtain.
and
Now you're gonna get home tonight.
Have one of those. You don't have
You're
one
gonna
of
go
those.
upstairs.
We have a
You're
big
gonna want
dog.
to use the bathroom.
when I'm going
I need you to look at that shower curtain.
it was
Wasn't that open when I left? Now some of you say, well, yes, but I'm gonna go home.
shooting.
And the first thing I'm gonna do before I go upstairs and check the bathroom is I'm gonna rattle my doorknob and say, oh, it's locked. That Steve King was so full of shit and scream. But a maniac would think to lock the door afterwards. So it really creates nothing. Now, you see, what really sort of sells this is the American Insurance Institute, because it sounds like a real organization, and you have to sort of take it seriously. So now I'm letting you in on the secret that it doesn't exist,
Which was a
but the maniac still might exist. It's possible, Husky, it's possible. So I want you to think about that when you get into your car tonight, and maybe check the back seat, because you wouldn't want to see a face rise up
stuff.
and a hand ain't that nice of one. And this is all I'm using now, but you see, what I'll do is try to plant a seed. Just plant a little seed and sort of or think of it as a contact capsule with you. You swallow it, but then nothing happens again. When you get out in the dark, in the night, where no one can hear you scream, it starts to look like you. I guarantee you that later on you will think about these things, because everybody does. And I'm sure you'll be all right. Actually, I'm not sure you'll be all right. As I say, I thank my kids to all those movies, and at least two of them must have reacted in some way, because both of my sons are novelists. And my older boy, thank you. My older boy, Joe, just had a #1 bestseller. I'll tell him you said that. And I'm going to also urge you to buy his book, but you should buy a few for mine first. Because I'm 68, Joe's 44, I'll die sooner than he is, so I should get all the satisfaction that it's costing. Right?
But there's no books left to buy. And I already bought them all. Twice.
One of the places I went on these tours was Pittsburgh, and I made a movie in Pittsburgh with George Romero, Creep Show. Where I began my career of small film parts playing a country dry asshole. That's what I got. It's sort of stereotyped as, but media or shit. Yeah, that's right. Give that me a cigar and blow George to later. Yes, Joe's in that movie, and Joe's part in the movie called for him to play the son of an abusive father who was knocking him around, and he gets revenge by buying a voodoo doll from a horror comic and sticking panties in a voodoo doll that has his father's face and all that. But in order to make that whole thing work, Joe had to be made up so that he had a bruise under one eye and a bruise on one cheek. And one night we shot late, and Joe was really hungry afterwards, and so we went to the McDonald's drive-thru, and the lady sees this battered little kid, see. And at the end of the drive-thru, along with our burgers and shakes, we were met by the Pittsburgh Police Department, who didn't let us go until Joe could show them that it was just me. So he's gone on to have a career, and Owen and I are just collaborating on a novel that will be published next year called Sleeping Beauties, and it's pretty good. You know what, I'm asked a lot of the time, mostly by interviewers from some smarty pants magazines, TV shows. They'll ask you a few questions to kind of loosen you up. And then they'll lean forward and say, by the way, what were you like as a kid? The subtext to that question is, what screwed you up so bad? Get the right on these monster gloves. And it's never a question that I've been able to answer satisfactorily. I'm not going to be able to answer it tonight. But I will say that the best thing that I ever read on that subject, that mysterious thing where if God gives you a gift, a talent, it's a package. It's not unwrapped. It's just there in your mind, in your subconscious, in your nerves, in your spirit. It's quiet. And then something happens to wake it up. And, you know, I've always been a rock and roll fan ever since I was a kid. And one of my idols when I was a kid was Jerry Lee Lewis. Wow. He was like a prototype crazy outlaw rock person. Parenthetically speaking, my favorite story is Jerry Lee Lewis and Chuck Berry were on a tour, a rock and roll tour in a bus, and they went across a lot of America, finished up in New York City at an Alan Freed rock show. And all the way there, they had been arguing each other about who was going to close the show. And sometimes it was Chuck, sometimes it was Jerry Lee. And they got to New York, and the argument got to this furious pitch about who was going to close the show. And Alan Freed stepped in and said, okay, right now, Chuck Berry has the big #1 hit record. He's going to close the show. So both of y'all shut up and do your numbers. So he shut up, and the second to last act was Jerry Lee Lewis. He played Great Balls of Fire, took a can of lighter fluid out of his jacket pocket, sprayed the piano and lit it on fire. Walked off stage and said, "Top that, Chuck." So I like that. But as a kid, Jerry Lee Lewis lived in Louisiana, and his family didn't have anything. As my mother would have said, they didn't have a pot to piss in or let them throw it at him. And that they had, he had an uncle right down the road, same town the other day. And they didn't have much of anything either, although they did have a son named Jimmy Swagger. So there's a couple of Hellraisers for you up here. But the one thing that they did have, handed down on the mother's side of the family, was a great piano. And in the biography that I went to, Jerry Lee says, I didn't know what it was the first time I was out in the harbor, but I knew I had to get at it. But to me, that summarizes the whole thing. Now for me, when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, one day my brother came to me, my brother David. Our father left, I was 2 when David was 4. And my mother raised us. We were latchkey kids before I knew what a latchkey kid was. So my brother David said, come here, you gotta go up to the attic with me. I went up to the attic with him, doing these boxes that my mother had put away, and for all this stuff from my father. He'd been in the Merchant Marine and all he was tchotchkes from overseas, little Japanese dolls and pieces of origami and drink coasters with, from other countries. And among all those things, there was a box of paperback books. And the one on top was called The Thing from the Tomb by H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh man.
And I looked at that book and something in my heart said, I don't know what this is, but I know I'd rather get at it. So to me, that's the great mystery of creativity or gift or something.
Yeah.
And when people ask me how it works, I say it works just fine. Leave it at that. Because, I don't understand. what I do. But I do know that this is a strange and somewhat uncomfortable situation for me, because writers are supposed to be synchronicities. You know, we're not supposed to be looked at like 4,000 times. I feel them on me. Which is why I always check my eyes when I come on stage. But, whoa, there's some reverb on this thing now. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway. Somebody must have taken me too seriously about the rock and roll. But something happened along the way. You know, John Grisham was a good guy. Said to me one time, he said, we're famous writers in the country that doesn't read. That's why it's so great, so uplifting to me, so wonderful to be with people that did me. Yeah, just absolutely. But at some point along the line, I became aware that something had happened to me, and it actually started in Pittsburgh. But this was before Creepshow. I published a book called The Dead Zone with Mike and Simba. I mean, no, it was a very unbelievable book. There was a character in that book named Greg Stilson. He was this like crazy guy who wanted to be in politics, and he promised to kick everybody's ass and do this and that and the other thing, and there could never be a guy like that who could actually be taken seriously as president of the United States. So it was just a blog of mine to pick up a BS. But anyway, I was on tour, and what you do in those days, and it's just like back, you have to believe that this existed 4 years ago. And usually they have a bookstore would sponsor the tour. So what you did was you went in and you did a morning show, like AM Pittsburgh that was on TV, you said it in the book. And then you did a bunch of night interviews, and then you did a noon show. It helped to have a favorite recipe, because sometimes they would ask me to help them cook. So usually you're between the Royal Nicosander scallions and the kids who did karate, and I wanted. So when we talk about you do some more interviews, and at night, the newspaper, because they actually had budgets back then, they would have a banquet to the writers. I was on tour with Jerzy Kosinski and Kitty Conlon was a girl I swore to college. So it's a 4-year slip. Anyway, so we had dinner. We ended up on what they call in Pittsburgh the Incline, a very fancy restaurant. But the thing that you have to know about the Incline is you get up there on a kind of a cable car deal, and you can't get down. And about halfway through the banquet, I got sick. I mean, I got really sick, you know. It was like, I have to be careful how I tell what's part of the story, but you know how, like, stuff comes out the top, and then stuff comes out the bottom. I don't want to get scatological here, but anyway, I excused myself, and I went to the restroom, which was Babylonian in its splendor. There was a marble, and there was like these stuffing inlays that looked like gold, and there was a restroom attendant who was 119 years old with a shiny bald head, and the towel over his arm was got a dish. So to give you the idea, you're supposed to give me some money. I would tell you a towel, you need to be money. And so I had one of those moments. I'm usually a pretty upbeat person. Because basically I pass on all the bad shit to you guys, and you pay me for it. That's right. I was scared the shit out of me, give me a hug. That's how I did it. So anyway, I was missing my wife, I was missing my children because they were quite small, and I was sick. I felt horrible. I didn't feel I could be any worse, except that the one thing that this menstrual act, maybe it was kind of a European act, I don't know, were outdoors and the stars. And as I sat there feeling my absolute worst, I became aware that the restroom attendant was watching me with a gleam in his eye. and advancing toward me.
Look out.
He taking a pad out of his inside pocket and a pen from his breast pocket. And he said, I believe I saw you on Weekend Pittsburgh. Aren't you Stephen King? And I said, yes, and he said, can I have your autograph? What can I do? I hit my back to the wall. My pants are on my ankles, so I made the autograph. That was like my first sort of experience with a Down syndrome. But I want to tell you one more story, and then I'm going to take some questions from you. I do run.
Do you want to ask a question?
Are you guys up here?
Yeah, I'll go up with you.
Russia, there, sit
Yeah.
like a hat.
Well, that's good.
Say good mom to you after now.
Mommy, I'll help you get up there quick.
Anyway, I was telling you about the critics' chorus, and one of the critics' chorus was a guy named Dave Marsh. And Dave Marsh became a friend, and I wrote a book called Christine, about a guy that sort of Thank you very much. I think it was great. It was a story about guys in cars, guys in Berkeley's, and it was about how the two of them combine sometimes. It's really bad way. Then my conceit to that book was to put little song lyrics at the beginning of every chapter. And sometimes they cost, back in those days, they usually didn't cost very much. About 6 years ago, I did a novel, a Florida novel called Do a Tea.
That's what she's talking about. Unbelievable.
It really is sort of like being the Alden brother. I'm the only one up in thank you. Anyway, I wanted to use 4 lines from a Judas Priest song called You Gotta Know That's Like Coming Back to the front of that book. And the lines went out there, there's a fortune waiting to be had. You think I'll get out here, you gotta know that book coming. So it's like 3 lines. And I said, can I use these 3 lines and pay for them? And they say, you bet your ass you'll pay for it.
What's up?
You want $50,000, and after 50,000 copies, we want royalties, and we want a sweetener on top of that. And my response to that was, go fuck yourself. And I wrote my own lyrics in front of that and attributed that to Rich Tozier, who was one of the losers in here. Thought that was kind of fun. So I didn't have to pay a red cent. But for Christine, I felt like I needed that. And the only 2 people who never charge anything but a nominal fee, and I charge nothing for the use of my few lines, by the way. If you want to, go with God. Just don't photocopy the whole book, and they'll come after you. But the 2 who have been good about that are Bruce Springsteen and Bob Dylan. So I used some lyrics from Bruce in The Stand, and I used them in Christine. And Dave said, Bruce, I'd like to have dinner with you. Do you want to do that? I'm like, well, yeah. But this was after Morgan Rodney, just before the Nebraska album. And I met him in an East Side Irish restaurant called Howard the Wall Place. He was at the bar with a glass of white wine. And I left his boots with how you're the man in suede boots. I still think about him every night. And yes, I know how that sounds, but I don't care.
And I knew I loved him.
So we sat down, I think we were talking, we were having talking about books, talking about movies, talking about music, having a good time. And a trio came in. There was mother, father, and their teenage daughter. The daughter was probably 15, 16 years old, and she was gorgeous. Gorgeous the way that a kid is at that age when all the shit is still plugged in and working just fine. she obviously had a good relationship with her parents. She's wearing Alice Bane in her hair. She got a pretty dress on. And they sat down, and I don't remember why, if there was a concrete reason for this or not, but I got the idea it was a birthday celebration, that they were going to have a little party for her, out. So Bruce and Dave Marsh and I were doing our thing at our table, and we're talking, finishing, we'll have coffee or whatever. And they're ordering this thing, and they're talking and having a good time, and nobody had looked over at Bruce the whole time that we were there. And she looked around, boom, her eyes just riveted, like that. And she got up, and this is the sweetest thing I've ever saw. It was like she didn't even walk across the thing. It was like she was in a dream or something, sleepwalking, feet not touching the floor. And Bruce reached into his pocket for his pen, ears smiling. She never fucking looked at him. Never did. She said, I think you're Stephen King, and oh my God, you're great. I read all your books. It was the greatest moment of my young life. Now, do you have someone that you want to ask? I'm going to invite some. Let's do some Q&A to try to And remember, don't ask anything too rude because I don't. But these are. Okay. No questions. I'm done. Oh, your mic's not on. Well, mine is.
You start writing.
When did I start writing? Well, that's a good question. I started writing seriously when I was 10 years old. But now the first good idea I had, my mother used to like green sneakers, so I don't know if any of you remember that. You went to the store and you got those green stains, and you put them in a bucket after 12 years. Smart radio, one guy. And I had an idea for a story where this guy was commented green stains and got anything that he wanted. I thought they thought it'd be a lot easier to try to get than mother's book. But the thing is, any story that has a good, basic idea has got to have some method in it, gimmick in it to kind of like cheat it for steroids. And my idea was that after printing off like 70 zillion stamps, this guy would discover that he could put them in the books with a sponge or with some kind of thing that we glued them up automatically because the stamps would turn red because of some automated where they would hand out keep them. So that was actually wasn't a very good story. I didn't like it since I was in my 12 years old. That one.
Hi, Ms. Looking.
Hi.
Well, Dr. Susan asked you this question, so I'm going to speak for her. She wants to know how do you feel about the agreement. Who do you think would be the best to replace the current if he can't be found was?
Somebody repeat that. My ears are dead for normal.
Hello. She wanted to know, it's Dawn here. It's her 16th death. Wanted to know what you thought about the remake. And if anything should replace or keep her because he cannot be Pennywise.
Well, they cast the guy as Pennywise, and he certainly looks as though he could play the one, and I don't remember who he is. And what I think about it is I'm actually sort of hopeful about that movie. For one thing, let me say this about Pennywise. For a certain generation of people who are about 45, 50 years old now, nobody is going to replace Tim Curry. You know, ABC did that as a two-part miniseries. Squirrel was in it. Was done with Franklin, was done on the Gene Give Me Top Idea in Milan. Because a lot of people remember it as sort of a seminal experience with Keller, and they remember Tim Curry as the sort of the dancing out with horrible condoms in their closet at night. But I like the idea of being able to do what they planned. They're planning to do 2 movies. And the first movie will be solely about All Losers Club and the kids. It'll be sort of Stand By Me with a horrible clown. And the second part will be the dumbest things going about it from them. So I feel okay. Yeah. Something else.
This is a question about Darkest Hour continuity. You mentioned something about very simplicity, how you can pull an audience in by making things that say real. How do you move audience into a world that is so distinctly different from our own?
Were you trying to look in Dark Tower?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Why are they doing that?
I don't know. You know, what happened to me with the Dark Tower is that I'd been thinking for a long time about some of the great fantasy series that I read. Of course, that was before Game of Thrones, and I read the Tolkien trilogy, and I read the Hogwarts world. Real worlds, and I read the Gordon Gass books, and I loved those. Of course, I read the Narnia books, and I thought I ought to write a big fantasy novel. And at some point, I wrote a poem by Robert Browning, Child Roll into the Dark Tower Pain. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to write a book based on this poem. And I investigated on a bit. Found out that Browning himself had no idea what it meant. And to me, that sort of added to the mystery. It's like, because mystery is strangely are those things exciting. And so that was really the start of it right there. And then I went to see Sergio Leone Western, Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And I went for many of the Ugly. I looked into huge business throughout life, and I thought, I think that possibly I could combine fantasy with either Western and Western, see what would happen with that. And so, because I was 22 years old when I started, it seemed perfectly normal to me, a challenge like that. Because that is, nobody better than you're willing to try anything that is played novel. That it would take me, oh my God, 30 to 40 years to finish the thing.
Dark Tower.
Mr. Big. I spend my life listening to ACDC.
I like your dedication to Thomas Scaris at Tender Watch, and I appreciate it too that you named Linklater Frederica Bibble after one of his victims. When I write, I struggle for years trying to send chapter names when I was asleep. I finally went to a cemetery, Canterbury, and photographed 300 headstones, and I use those names now in notation. I noticed you tend to use other names over and over again, and others I don't know from. Where do you get your character names from?
But they're hard to me. Character names are hard to me. And you're right, there is a character in the Watch whose name is Frederica Bibble. And I did it as a suspicion where I took my sire. I didn't look, so I thought it was something Googled it. That was not wanted to look. Calibration turns up with it. So, but for the names themselves, I would get stuck sometimes for long periods of time. And I resisted going to Google, which is the 21st century navigation. It's really something that I got to know from later. It's like, cannot see that now, ask again later. That's the kind of thing. So, there is a place where you can It's a random generated names, and the one thing that never made it to the Bill Hodges Trilogy that I'm really sorry was my vision to get with those books was that it would return, or at least talk of 3 books, to the original drawing, which was writing down the bunch of people at City Center job fee. And I was coming up from Florida one time, and I saw an item on the news in South Carolina about a woman who had done just that, trying to run down the woman whose boyfriend was cheated for it. And she missed the woman, but she got it on 8 out of other people, and that really stuck in my mind. So one time I ever went to the Army was to get the names of all I did a sheet of paper that was headed toll, and it was all people who tell up the people who were itching, and publishing just said, you don't want this, and I said, well, okay, because I was not sure the other 2 books would have get right. Of course we did, so notes to tell. And don't thank me, I'm merely answering the question.
Oh, Mr. King, long-time writer, first-time commentator. My question is, if you were not successful with your writing, what would you have done with agencies? Is that something you would have stuck with?
If I wasn't successful with my writing on Abbey,
What would you have been when you grew up? Very life's crazy.
that old Barbara Walters thing, if you were a tweet, which tweet would you be? I don't know. I think probably I would have taught school, and I'd gotten tired of teaching teenagers because the ones that were good were going to be good, and the ones who had already decided that English wasn't for them, it was very difficult to reach, and in many cases impossible. So I wanted to go back and teach young kids, first, second, third graders. I found what teachers in the lessons. I was thinking about something like my wife told me. My wife was raised Catholic, and she said that there was a saying at the Mother Church, give them to us when they are young and they will be ours forever. I thought that if I could get kids when they were young, okay, my books and make good stories, that idea would hold. So I would probably do that. I can't think of anything else except one awful. So the light. Listen, I said 2 more, and I don't know later yet, so I go.
Hello, Mr. King.
Oh no, don't go. We grew up in ugly stuff. Okay, go ahead, question.
Hello. Many of your books connect to the Dark Tower series, either characters, places, numbers. When did you decide to start connecting your other books into the tower?
Well, I'm a really instinctive writer. And there's a guy named John Irving, who's a complaining
Can't even know if
and Side Out Community. He's a great writer, but I used to tell people that when he starts to do book, first thing he does is your hands hard. I thought that would be to me like eating your dessert before you eat anything else. I want to find out what happens as I go along. The time that was the scariest was I wrote a thing called Green Line. And just by the time the book started to get published, I thought to myself, my God, I made the biggest mistake on all that. I had no idea those things would come out. But in the end, the pieces just sort of came together. And so I usually trust that, each other and hopefully everything's going to turn out all right. And it usually does. And with the case of Dark Tower, and it came up one morning where I looked at my work from Salem's Lot right through Lee Strobing, and I said, this is all related to the Dark Tower. Let me see if I can draw one together. I wanted to find a a prior relationship, if you will, is you could be able to get the same thing like someone. That's what I did, to the best of my ability. I'm not. You get a good one.
Yes, Mr. Kids. Hi, first reader, right over this way. Right. Thank you so much for all the gifts you've given us, and thank you for the ones you're going to give us. My question is a yes or no.
Sorry. And what is it?
It's a yes or no question.
My best novel?
Okay, so does Mrs. King travel with you? And if so, is she here? And if so, should we want her to say thank you for being the glue that's our show with you together?
Thank you. Thank you. What did she ask?
Is Mrs. King?
Oh, no. My wife is not here, and Molly the Thing Beagle is not here either. Tabby and Molly are on the couch watching Game of Thrones. Get ready. But yes, my wife is responsible for so much of my life. We've been married 45 years. Did nothing. Three kids, 4 grandkids, and we're still pretty. Before I go, I want to tell you one more story, and I talked to you a little bit about fame and how weird it is to be ready or not as someone who writes books. Very often, it's wonderful and wide-dated sometimes, not so much, but still, you know, I had to be right-sized and realize that 95 of the American populace give a shit. They don't know who I am, unless they happen to have seen me on Sons of Anarchy and say, I was saying meteor shit, something before my face in some talk show out there. But I don't think no one does. It really control it. I was out of the retaining school, and that was before, you know, they passed that awesome pink secret ballot. You have to look to it. That's just not what I felt that it really ready to get near the hill. But we were in Naples and we were there for a couple of weeks. On that, we decided we would movies.
That's what I'm told.
So we go to the movies. I was dressed late. I got hanging out. Wild, my jeans and t-shirt and hot day. So we keep down that street. I noticed this Lincoln Continental at the curb that was parked on flat tire. And standing beside it was this guy who was maybe 65, 70. He was kind of like, he was sharp-dressed man, you know. He had on the getting jacket, old pants, he had that weight, his shoes, if you could see an inflection, everything. Little tasteful rolls long. And we walked past him, and hey, you. Hey, you. I says, you want to make $15? I'm Weissel, CEO of Canada. I said, $15 for what? He said, $15 to change my tire. I can't do it because you see I'm all dressed up. My wife and I go to a reception, so we get $15 to change the tire. And if you change it in 10 minutes, I will make it 20. So by this time, my wife is from Detroit to the shade of on and she's killing herself. Rolling up like this and that kind of thing. So I go, do you have a spare? Yes, I have a spare. Do you have a jack? Yes, I have a jack. Okay, and then I'll put in the car, in the public car. The car is running. It's running. And the reason why was because his wife is like 90 degrees She's in the passenger seat. She put out white feet home. The she's all over. So I said, you know what? I'm going to jack this up on your wife. I to get out of the car. He looks at her and she goes, maybe it was the heat, maybe it was me. I let the shave in a couple of days to apply to okay. So I said, all right, if your wife is going to sneak in the car, it's good, $25. he's like, okay, $25, only if you can do it in 10 minutes. That's wrong with eight. So I get the jack under the bumper and I tend to conjure that. And I get the hubcap off and I get the lug nuts out and they're putting down all the hubcap the way you're supposed to do. You get the spare on, over the jack off. And the spare was good. They still up. And then I started to put on the lug nuts and deal on my shoulder like that. It turned out that I almost up. So I got it all, I got hubcap nuts on, and he goes to the car, like his wallet, and drops on his wife or something. My wife's a brass. She says, not really gonna take that guy's money, are you? I said, fucking A. This is the first honest word pipe that in 25 years. Thank you all very much.